Hello dear friends. We're actually going to start on our back today in constructive rest pose. It's such a lovely way to begin, particularly a morning practice, just to kind of ease ourselves out of our supine position and then find our way back into life. So the theme for today is going to be about curling in and then opening out, and even flying out the other side. So our metaphor is the egg. If you imagine a bird inside its egg, it's all curled up, and then slowly it finds its way out of the egg, and then eventually it develops the capacity to fly. So let's come down into constructive rest, and making sure you come down very consciously. So we want to take each vertebrae down one at a time, as much as you can. And that, of course, invites you to awaken the abdominal muscles first thing. So let's find our way there. And then feet hip distance apart. And a place where the legs can really feel relaxed. We want to deepen awareness right into those hip flexors, the muscles that connect that big femur bone with the spine. So the knees might even drop towards each other for now. And then maybe bringing hands onto the belly. We often talk about our gut brain, our enteric nervous system. And it's this part of our nervous system that's picking up information all the time from the environment around us. We're not usually conscious, but what it's doing is scanning the environment to check whether things are safe or unsafe or neutral, whether we are having a pleasant or an unpleasant experience or just a neutral experience. So let's start with hands on the belly, and we'll check in on those three different dimensions. So our intention for the practice is to first of all curl in, to really take our attention inside the body. And then over time, we'll open back out and fly. So begin by deepening the breath. And letting the eyes kind of drop back into the eye sockets. So that we're consciously making this transition to turn our gaze inwards. Seeing, sensing everything within the body. And we use our breath as that inward gaze. So as you invite a new in-breath, imagine it, feel it moving all the way into the body, taking that gaze, that attention inwards. Allow the breath to be deep and slow, even feeling it pushing right down into the pelvis. You can imagine it too, moving through the legs, over the knees, down to the feet. And then the out breath, just gently bringing awareness back up. So checking in what's here this morning within us. And maybe just beginning by noticing any places that are a little tender or uncomfortable. Maybe where you have an old injury or an ache. And without trying to change it, just focus your attention there, kind of let that inward gaze, pay attention, bring a sense of kind presence to that area. And next we'll open to parts of the body that are neutral. They're not giving us any particular message. So for example, if your tender spot was on the right hand side, just get a sense of that same spot on the left. Maybe there's just a neutral, quiet place of awareness. And expanding that awareness of the neutral to the whole body. It's kind of the calm, quiet place. And now opening to any place in the body where there's pleasant sensation. Maybe it's the warmth of the hands on the belly, or a cool sensation of air against the face, or the texture of clothing. Whatever for you feels pleasant, gives a sense of safety and kind of a kindness to the body. And allow that pleasant experience to open up, taking in the whole of the body as it rests here on the earth. Maybe even into appreciation of this steady earth beneath us. And then feeling the spine move. So as we often do, taking some very gentle somatic movements. So as we inhale, we arch the lower back. There'll be a little gap underneath your spine. And then as you exhale, push the lower back onto the earth. So a very gentle undulation. The pelvis rocks forwards and back. And we're waking up the spine, lubricating all between each of those joints. And of course we're also smoothing and soothing all the nerves that run through the vertebrae, right down the center. And one of those nerves comes from the brain. It's a cranial nerve. And it moves the whole way through the body. There's a branch into the heart, a branch down into all the organs in the belly. And when we move very gently, when we deepen our breath, we quieten down the messages coming into that cranial nerve so that we feel safe, kind of whole within our body. So bringing hands under the head now, we need to awaken the abdomen a little bit. So inhale, arch the back, and exhale, gently squeeze in. So curling in, the first part of our theme today, and then inhale back, opening out, arching the lower back. Inhale, exhale, curling in. Imagine you're in that eggshell, safe, protected. And then inhale, opening out. Exhale, squeezing, curling in. Inhale, opening out. And then let everything rest and spread on the earth. So these very subtle, simple movements are designed to connect the brain with the body, and they kind of clean those pathways. So let's clean the pathway all the way down through the hip flexor now. So bring your left leg flat on the ground. The arms can be beside you once again. And then inhale, arch the back as we've been doing. And as you exhale, push the lower back onto the earth. Let that left leg lift just a little bit. Then turn the toes outwards and take the leg a little bit over to the side. Very small movement, but waking up the different muscles in that hip joint. And then come back, same way you went in, resting on the earth. Inhale, arch the back. Exhale, squeeze the lower back down, the foot lifts up, toes turn out. Open the leg just enough to feel sensation deep in that hip crease. And return the leg back to the ground. Big in-breath, arch the lower back. Exhale, squeeze, keep that out-breath flowing, toe comes away from the body, and then inhale all the way back in and arch the back. Just two more, really awakening, cleaning these neural pathways. And this is particularly useful if we've had injury in these places and we tend to get sort of trapped by old fears. But by cleaning these pathways, we come into the present moment. So return into constructive rest. Feel the sacrum spreading on the earth. And then let's repeat that on the other side. So right leg straight. Inhale, arch the lower back, pelvis rocks. Exhale, lifting the leg, turning the toes out, moving the leg away. Inhale, coming back in, turning the toes upwards, all the way down. Arch the lower back. Repeat. Squeeze, twist, slight little twist in the hip, opening out, coming back. And just feel deep inside, take that inward gaze. What's happening right inside the hip? That big, long collection of muscles, the hip flexors, that stabilize our upper and lower body. We're awakening them very gently, kind of greeting them this morning before we start to strengthen and call on them. So last round. Rest the leg back on the earth, soften, and then constructive rest. Feel the spine spreading as we remember to find that safety on the earth, that simple pleasure of being allowed to lie still and connect. And now squeezing the knees into the chest. Just a gentle squeeze. You'll probably feel the hip flexors here. So imagine the hip crease is deepening. Kind of take the pubic bone away from you. Deepen into the hip creases. It may be quite an achy sensation. Almost like there's a pole across inside the hip crease and it's pushing in one direction and you're pulling in the other. And then take the knees a little wider towards the armpits. See how that feels. And again, pull the knees in as you kind of push the pubic bone away from you a little bit. Just feel that deep, achy sensation of awakening these strong, strong muscles. And then bringing the feet up to the sky so you can reach for your shins or your ankles or your big toes. This is our happy baby. And just gently draw the knees down, but nothing too much. And then push the feet a little bit up, sort of resisting with the hands. Again, just activating, wakening up. See whether you can flatten the lower back onto the earth and pull the knees down. And now we'll engage in a slightly different way. We're going to roll the chin into the chest and reach the arms up into the sky. So you'll need to use your abdominals, just squeezing in. And then maybe even taking the knees on the outside of the upper arms and squeezing them in as well. You can even bring your fingers back towards your face with the palms upwards as if you're squatting on the ceiling. And then release. That's quite a strong pose. We just play with it in this position so that we can explore it the other way up. So let's take it once more, rolling the chin into the chest, reaching the fingers up, connecting the knees with the upper arms, squeezing in, and then turning the hands as well, so that you're squatting on the ceiling, upside down. And release. Well done. Knees hug into the chest. And then gently rock and roll. You can start side to side if the spine needs a little easing, or take some circles. Just feel whatever you need to do to bring a sense of comfort, safety back into the body. And then hands behind the thighs, roll the chin into the chest and gently start to rock. And coming up. You probably know where we're going, just leaning back a little bit. You've got your knees to support you, and then behind the thighs, our little boat pose, awakening the abdomen this morning. So we've woken up those hip flexors, very important. Now we're just awakening the abdomen so that we've kind of turned on our attention so that the muscles know when and how to support us. Take the feet down, just take some pelvic rocks here. We'll take another variation of boat. So this time reaching fingers out, parallel with your lower legs, and then gently opening into half boat. So you'll feel your abdominals maybe shaking a little bit here, and coming up, opening out, coming up. Remember, the advanced variation is to do this with the sides of the mouth lifted into a little smile. Just 2 more times. Using the breath to fill the whole body with the energy it needs, and then releasing and lubricating the spine once more. There may be some warmth moving through the body. Is that pleasant? Is that neutral? Is that unpleasant for you? And then gently crossing the ankles, shifting forward, and coming onto hands and knees. So if your knees are a little vulnerable, just taking a blanket so that you feel safe. We learn how to take care of the body. And we learn how to just put ourselves into, or sort of just move beyond our comfort zone, so that we learn how to keep a quiet, gentle, flowing breath even when we're there. So we're just rocking forward and back a little bit. You'll feel yourself massaging into the wrists. So maybe clawing the fingers just to strengthen up the hands. You can rock all the way back into child's pose if you like. And then rock all the way forward. All the way back. And forward. This time, hinging the elbows back a little bit. Back into child's pose. So when we hinge the elbows, we want to keep the upper arms right next to the rib cage. You actually feel the fabric of your clothing or the warmth of your body just gently sliding down through those upper arms. Keep the fingers active, just so the wrists are not taking too much strain. And the next time we come forward, we'll just hold it a little bit, just to find that strength. So this is how we work with the more yang style. We use rhythmic movement to build strength or to draw blood into the muscles. And then we hold the pose. And then you can hold child's pose and let everything spread and relax. Feel the shoulder blades drawing apart. The head, the forehead moving down towards the earth, maybe touching the earth depending on your flexibility, your body shape. And here we are curling in once again. You can even bring the hands back beside you. Feel that sense of safety inside your eggshell. And then bringing arms forward once again. Inhale up. So the wrists come under the shoulders. They've been a bit further forward up till now, but just come into the box shape. And take cat and cow. We're going to inhale and drop the belly. Lift the heart. And then as you exhale, really exaggerate the cat. So pushing up. And we're going to hold it here and breathe into that space between the shoulder blades. See if they can broaden and open so that we push a little higher. And then exhale, come to neutral. Inhale, drop the belly, cow pose. And then exhale there as well. See whether the out breath lets you melt just a little more. Inhale to neutral. Exhale, up. Really exaggerated cat. And breathe here so that the breath helps you spread the shoulder blades. Really lifting high. Push the earth away from you. Come into neutral. Inhale into cow. Exhale in cow, melting a little bit. Maybe even feeling shoulder blades come together. And then inhale, neutral. One last time, cat pose. Really pushing down to lift up. Feel that exaggerated C curve in the spine. We're going to need this later. So in order to keep this curve, we're activating in the abdomen. We're pulling up and also under the rib cage. So that's our middle lock. So really just see if you can pull under the rib cage. Hold it there. The chin is into the chest, that's our throat lock. And then come to neutral. Let all the locks release. Notice how the breath, the energy can flow through the body. And then take your right toes behind you. They'll stay on the ground for now. Just feel this three-legged position. And then on your in-breath, lift that right leg. Just so that your body is in a nice long line. And feel that little balance. So just moving forward and back a bit. And then letting your left arm lift. So working with counterbalance here. Just feeling what you need to do to lengthen out through the body. The back foot is flexed, the front fingers reaching forward. Just playing a little bit with the counterbalance. Coming down. Knee pulling into the chest. Again, that cat shape with the upper back. Inhale back. Exhale, pulling in. Feel the shoulder blades moving away from each other. Inhale back. And this time, as the knee comes in, we can lift the gaze and step the foot forward between the hands. So very familiar, our Anjali Asana. We're going to push down and bring the hands onto the front knee. So again, we'll curl in and we'll open outwards. So keep the legs right angles for now. We're going to engage the lower abdominals and lift up under the ribs. So drawing in, you'll feel the shoulders even curling here. And then inhale, move a little bit forward. Exhale, pulling back. Even pulling the front foot and the back knee towards each other so you're really closing in. And then opening out. Closing in with the out breath. Engage everything. Feel the whole of the core and the pelvis holding you together. Inhale out. Once more, supported with the hands. And then let the arms reach up into the sky. And just melting to wherever your edge is. So that little place which you may call discomfort. There may be a little sense of trepidation. So just ease back from there. So there's an edge without fear. And then open the heart and hold for 3 deep breaths. At the end of the out breath, bring the hands back to the earth. And the knees next to each other. Child's pose. Just feel the difference one side and the other. And squeeze the knees a little bit towards each other. Just activating once again through those hip flexors. And then inhale, come up. Wrists underneath the shoulders, left toes back on the ground for now. And then lift that left foot up. And when you feel balanced, so engage the right buttock, engage the abdominals. And when you feel steady, resting on the earth, let your right arm reach forward. So the back heel flexed, or the foot flexed in, the heel pushing back as if you were pushing a wall, and then reaching forward. Find that gentle counterbalance, leg and arm. And then the hand can come down, the knee pulling into the chest. Inhale back. Exhale, squeeze, feel the shoulder blades broadening against the upper back. Inhale, lift. And then stepping forward between the hands. Find your right angle, your square shape in the legs, and bringing the hands to the knee for support. You may be warming up a little bit now. So take a big in-breath, and then on the out-breath, pull in and back. The shoulders will roll, that kind of cat expression in the upper back. You're pulling up under the rib cage, holding in the abdomen. And then inhale forward a little bit. Exhale, pulling in and back. Inhale forward. Maybe deepening a little each time, but that's not the intention. The idea is to really engage all these core muscles that stabilize us. And then when they feel safe and engaged, then the body opens naturally 2 more. Pulling that front foot back, the back knee forward. And then letting the arms open. Just feeling that sense of opening, expanding, even flying with the arms. And then they come down to the earth. Spread the fingers nice and wide, claw them into the mat, tucking the toes of the back foot, lifting up that back thigh, and then stepping back, our first downward facing dog. So we've already warmed up quite a bit, but just feel the calves lengthening, the hamstrings as you pedal out the feet. And then coming high on the toes, lift the sits bones. And squeeze the forearms towards each other so that the shoulder blades broaden. And then feel a wave moving through the whole spine. So from the tailbone, lift into the upper back, moving through, right into plank pose. And then gentle little bend in the elbows. Straightening up, little bend, straightening up, and then just see if you can lower down slowly, keeping those upper arms close to the ribs. So the shoulders in front of the fingers. This is our chaturanga, nice and strong. And find your way to the earth. And you've deserved a little breathing break. So 3 conscious breaths, taking that inward gaze once again. Aware of how, as the breath moves from the belly up into the ribs, it kind of embraces the heart. And then hands under the shoulders, we roll the shoulders back, coming into a baby cobra, and then release. Inhale into a toddler cobra, and release. Then a child cobra, release. Into the teenager, and then our 5th one, our fully grown cobra pose. Upper arms squeezing, elbows squeezing into the ribcage. Hands pulling back, heart moving forward and out. Feel the strength of the upper body, the opening of the chest. And then gently lay yourself back on the earth for another breathing break. 3 deep breaths, gazing inwards. What's here? What's our experience in this moment? Is it neutral? Is it pleasant? Is it unpleasant? And then tucking the toes, activating the kneecaps so that the whole of the legs lift off the ground. Bringing the hands just a little back, so fingertips kind of back from the shoulders. And then when you're ready, activate the abdominals and see if you can come up the way we came down. So upper arms squeeze into the rib cage and push back into plank. And downward facing dog. Just check out the lower back here. It can get a little vulnerable in cobra, so allow it to stretch and lengthen. And then the right leg floats skywards and steps forward between the hands. The back heel just coming down 45 degrees. And you can have a little space between the feet, almost like you're on railway tracks. And then push down to come up into a high lunge. So bending into the front knee, the hips facing forwards. The arms can lift. This is our warrior one. So we're playing with that counterbalance. So let's bring the hands to the hips, come up on the back toes. Just shift the weight forward, maybe taking a little step as well. And then notice how the upper body and the back leg kind of balance each other on this fulcrum of the hips. So gently reach the heart forward. When you're ready, lift that back leg. So just finding this trust in your own balance. You can flex the back foot, maybe bringing arms wide to the side like an aeroplane flying through the sky, or reaching out in front. And then gently back into warrior two. Let's open. And just take a moment to find the steadiness of both feet. And we notice these different levels of steadiness, that sense of safety when one of our limbs is on the ground, when there's two, or when there's four. So let's windmill back down so that we can feel the steadiness of all four limbs in our downward facing dog. Deep breath and a long, slow exhale. Back, left leg lifts. Gently bring the knee up into the chest. Feel that lovely curve with the spine, like a cut spine, and then step it forward between the hands. Grounding that right foot now and feeling the feet on the railway tracks a little bit apart so that you're balanced. And then push down to come up. The arms can lift. This is our warrior one. Feel those hips facing forward. There's a spiral in the back leg, an expansion in the heart. And then gently bringing the hands down onto the hips. It's often nice and supportive when we're holding our own body. It provides a boundary, that sense of safety. And then up on the back toes, maybe taking a little step forward, so that once again you can feel this counterbalance, the torso and the back leg. And when you're ready, just leaning forward. If you fall, that's completely fine. What makes us good yogis is that we come back in, never letting a fall kind of discombobulate us. And then take the arms wide. We're flying this morning, just the way birds do in the sky. And maybe reaching forward, warrior one, warrior three, and then back into warrior one. Open to warrior two, just to get that sense of expansion through the front of the pelvis. Maybe turning the palms up just for a change. Feel the shoulder blades sliding down the back. Bend into the front knee and let that take you forward. Windmill down. And downward facing dog. Breathing in. Breathing out. Bend the knees if it's more comfortable. Shift the weight back. Lengthening that spine. Letting the shoulder blades slide away from each other. and the skin on the outside of the armpits to draw downwards. And then the right leg lifting once again, stepping forward. At this time we'll just turn the body lengthways on the mat. The edges of the feet against the edge, the short edge of your mat. And then lift the heart. Preparation for Prasarita. So what we'll do now is keep our chaturanga arms. So bring your palms down onto the ground and hinge your elbows back. So just choose where your hands can go. They may be a little in front of the feet. They may be in the same line as the feet. And have those four limbs steady on the ground, elbows hinging backwards. And feel the back of the heart opening a little. And then just being playful, see if you can lean forward just enough to lift the heels. Nothing too much. You may want to claw with the fingers or take the fingers further forward so that you feel safe. Lift the heels just a little bit. And then settle them back on the earth. Notice how the body relaxes. Maybe lifting once again, just finding that balance. Engage the abdomen. Maybe lifting the heels a little higher. We may be wobbly. And then resting back. And then lifting the heart. Lifting the sides of the mouth. What is pleasant, what is just neutral, kind of doesn't capture our attention. What is unpleasant. And then walking your hands towards your left foot, come into Skandasana, so bend that left knee, the right leg straight, the toes pointing up. Maybe on the heel. Again, there's a bit of counterbalance here. You may need your hands to transition, particularly the first time, as the body gets used to which muscles it needs to use. So we transition over to the other side. Maybe on the heel, maybe not. If you're on the heel, you may need to reach the arms forward for balance. And then again, just awakening the muscles that are required to move you over. And then maybe playfully see if you can do it without hands. It may take quite a lot of focus. Just a couple more times. Feel that strength in the body, but support yourself wherever you need to. And then returning to Prasarita, Padottanasana, and walk the hands forward for a wide-legged downward facing dog. Rolling the inner thighs back, the sits bones open. Just bringing awareness to the hips. And then walking the hands back, heel toe, the feet in a little bit, so that we can drop into our Malasana squat. And again, you may be on the toes, you may be on the heels. Bring your elbows inside your knees and the palms to the heart. And then squeeze those knees into the elbows. Feel that sense of drawing in. And then push the feet into the earth and spring up into the sky. Yay! Arms come down, next to the thighs. Shoulders relax. Arms float skywards. Lifting the gaze, feel that sense of freedom as you're opening. And then curling back in, Back into our Bakasana. Elbows inside, hands to the heart. Squeeze the knees into the elbows, palms squeezing together, elbows opening out to resist the knees. Feel the muscles that need to work to hold us together. And then when you're ready, push the feet into the earth and spring up again. Reaching into the sky, maybe a little back bend, and then release the arms to the thighs. Just bring the feet in parallel so the body is not losing energy. And take that inward gaze once again. Bringing our sense of presence to the whole of the body. And one last time, we're going to heel toe the feet a little wider, toes out, arms lift. Gently down into your squat. Bakasana. So from here, we'll take what is often called the gateway pose to the arm balances. So I'll just turn sideways so that you can see a little better. But we come from our Bakasana and we bring the hands in front of the feet. And then really take that cat orientation with the spine. So a really lovely curl and that lift underneath the rib cage. First of all, you can actually lift your hips quite high and bend. Give yourself those chaturanga arms. So lean a little bit forward, chaturanga arms back. And then bringing the knees up, just outside perhaps of the soft part of the arm, just up by the shoulders. And what we do here is just play with what we've been doing. So engage the abdomen, squeeze the knees in, broaden through the shoulder blades, and lift the heels. And then ease back off. So that's already a crow pose because it's an inversion, we're balancing a lot on the arms. But let's maybe see if we can move from within our curled up shell to the crow that flies. So your hands are like a crow's claws around the branch of a tree. So they need to be quite active so that the wrists are not sore. And then again, we lift up, bring the knees just maybe outside or resting on the arms, even sort of up towards the armpits. If you want to feel safer, it's nice to have a cushion perhaps or a blanket so that if you do topple over, your head is supported. And then gently lift one toe off, lift the other off, and maybe as you squeeze in, use the core, chaturanga arms, cat spine. We lift off the earth. And release when you need a little break. But just play there. See how it feels. You've done all the preparation. This pose is as much about our emotional confidence as it is about the strength in the body. Can we feel the discomfort of fear, and then knowing that we have all the inner resources that we need, we can just move into and beyond that fear. And if for you crow is fairly easy or a regular part of your practice, There's one more way to make your crow fly. So you may just want to play here, tipping forward, lifting the feet, activating the arms, and then shooting the legs back into chaturanga, and take a breathing break. And from whatever position you've been in, you may want to join me on the floor with a cheek on the earth. Maybe the heart beating. So feel how the breath rises from the belly into the rib cage, expanding and holding the heart. And then those heart qualities of kindness, care, they can spread out from the heart on the out-breath. And then gently taking hands under the shoulders once more, tucking the toes, just seeing if you've got one more bit of strength to fly off the earth. Back into plank, back into downward dog. If you like to, you can either walk your feet to behind your hands or take a little bunny hop. Once you've done crow, you may feel like you just want to fly a little bit. And then bringing the feet behind the hands. And settling back into your squat, your malasana. And either just settling here, this is a beautiful pose, or if you like to fly one more time, you are very, very welcome. And from Malasana, we settle onto the earth. We take a few undulations just to nourish that spine that's been working for us. Bring the buttocks a little closer to the heels so that you can gently lower yourself onto the earth. And then the baby toes to the edge of your mat, knees bent, and windscreen wiper. Just gently moving from side to side. Noticing where there's a bit of sensation, may not be so pleasant. Notice where it's neutral or where it's pleasant. And then letting the knees drop to the left and bringing the left foot on top of the right knee. So you'll notice a deep stretch right through the places we've been working, through those hip flexors along the thigh. And use the weight of that left foot just to stretch the quad deep into the hip. Seeing if the breath can be slow and smooth. And if there is a feeling of discomfort, use your breath as a healing balm. And then open your awareness to the places that feel comfortable, that feel pleasant. And let your in-breath savor this experience. And sliding that foot off the knee. A couple of windscreen wipers once again, just to even out from side to side. And when the knees have come to the right, gently bring right foot on top of left knee. Use that weight to stretch through the thigh muscles, those deep interior hip flexors. And see now whether you can open awareness to all that's neutral. Finding appreciation, even joy in the parts of the body that just get on with the work they need to do without calling for any attention. The essential workers in the body that just get on with it. And this is our moment to show them appreciation. And sliding the foot off the knee. And a couple more windscreen wipers just to ease out any kind of achy places. And then we'll hug in for one last time. It's quite a tight hug, quite an active hug. You can bring the chin up into the chest, the forehead towards the knees. Feel that really tight squeeze. When you really love someone, you give them this beautiful enclosing hug of safety. And then when you're ready, open outwards, kind of fly yourself open. And rest onto the earth. Making sure you feel warm and safe with an extra item of clothing or a blanket, so that we can spend our last few minutes in Shavasana savoring what is good, appreciating comfort, warmth, maybe even tranquility. mind wanders, it can be helpful just to return it to the belly brain, that place that's always scanning the environment. And if we bring the hands to the belly, we demonstrate for ourselves that we can relax. We can create our own place of safety and nurturing. And on your next 3 out-breaths, just opening the invitation to any aspects of your experience that may be uncomfortable or unpleasant, inviting them to flow out on the out-breath. They may not be ready to go just yet, but we're opening the doorway for them to free themselves. And then with that doorway open, we can breathe in, inviting in 3 different qualities that we'd like to experience or cultivate today. And for our final 3 breaths, just resting in neutral territory, a place of equanimity. And maybe stretching arms up and overhead, maybe a yawn. Just bringing awareness back to toes and fingers, wrists and ankles. Hugging one knee in, then the other. Knowing that we have this safety of our shell that we can return to when we need to. And at the same time, we can open out and find our wings to fly. So coming into a cross-legged pose. When you're ready, with hands at the heart, remembering that throughout today there'll be moments which are unpleasant, moments which are pleasant and we want to savor. And then this whole territory of the neutral, in which we can learn to find tranquility and ease, and even a sense of bubbling joy. So let's offer out whatever benefit we've gained on the sound of an Om. Taking a deep breath in and a sigh. Inhale. Namaste. Have a wonderful day.